WWE is changing the record books. World Wrestling Entertainment is changing the course of history. And they're making it easier for one of their top stars to achieve a monumental milestone. Roman Reigns has been working his way up the ladder to becoming one of the longest reigning champions, heavyweight champions, in WWE history. And he's already there. Top 5 has been cracked, but WWE has recently removed Bob Backlund from the top 5. We thought it was possibly just an error on Michael Cole's part during commentary, but a lot of these internal lists are showing that the top 4 for WWE are as follows. Bruno Sammartino is still in the number 1 spot. Don't know if anybody will truly surpass him, by the way. A title reign lasting from 1963 to 1971. That's just over 8 years of a title reign. 8 years! Fans are already had enough of 3 years with Roman with the chin. Could you imagine 8 plus? But Bruno Sammartino, 2,803 days. Hulk Hogan is now listed at number 2. Just a week ago, he was number 3. We'll get to that. But for right now, number 2 is Hulk Hogan at 1,474 days. Bruno Sammartino not only has the 1 spot, but he also has the number 3 spot, 1,237 days. And the number 4 spot now has Roman Reigns at 1,164 days. So the removal of Bob Backlund is monumental, because the list just 7 days ago was Bruno Sammartino 1, Bob Backlund number 2, because Bob Backlund has a 2,135-day reign. Then number 3 was Hulk Hogan, 1,474, and then Bruno at 4, and then Roman at 5. Now, we all knew that Bruno's number 4 record was being defeated, right? Bruno's number 4 record, now number 3 spot, is 1,237. Roman is 2 months away from beating that. Roughly around Royal Rumble is when that monumental achievement is going to occur. You know that WWE is going to go all out for that celebration when Bruno's number 4 and now number 3 spot gets eclipsed and Roman cracks the top 3. That's going to be a huge thing. That's only 2 months away, guys. But Bob Backlund was that 2 spot, 2,135. That was a title reign that lasted from February 1978 to December 1983. That's just over 5 years for Bob Backlund. But there was 2 instances where there was controversy with Bob Backlund. In fact, at least one of them, he literally lost the championship. But no television, no dirt sheets. WWE kind of quietly swept that underneath the rug, right? And that was a title loss to Antonio Inoki. And about a week later, Bob Backlund got that championship back. And again, WWE always touted that as uninterrupted. So WWE, again, there was no dirt sheets. The interweb machine wasn't a thing back then. So they swept it underneath the rug, and Vince McMahon Sr. really wanted Bob Backlund to have this long, just badass title reign. So they did the little schmozzery, and then he got it back. And to this day, WWE, or at least till about a week ago, Crown Jewel, and then the decision had to have been made a few days before to remove Backlund. But until this point, they still touted Bob Backlund as the number 2 longest reign. In fact, I made an upload just a few months ago, this past summer, talking about how everything we're hearing is that this company wants Roman to eclipse Hulk Hogan's record. And to do that, he has to keep the championship past 40. So don't be shocked, don't be surprised if Roman walks out of Philadelphia still champion. Well, guys, the big update that I have for you, because trust me, I've been hearing a lot in the last couple of weeks. Now it's like a Clorox wipe, 99.99%. They are sure, everybody internally is sure, Roman's walking out of Philadelphia still champion. It doesn't matter if it's a Cody Rhodes, a Rock, an LA Knight. Doesn't matter. Roman is walking out of Philadelphia champion. They want him taking Hulk Hogan's record. Well, if Hulk Hogan is now the number 2 spot because they removed Backlund, guys, that's coming up by the Hulk Hogan. That's around SummerSlam. Hulk Hogan's record will be defeated if Roman is to hold that championship into the summer of next year. Hulk Hogan's number 2 spot now, which was number 3. This is what I mean. WWE just made it a lot easier for the Roman Bruno talk to kickstart. And this is exactly what they want, right? You know that. Number 1, they just want him to beat Hulk Hogan's record. That was the upload I gave you guys months ago. That's everything that was being discussed down at the Performance Center with a lot of people that have a lot more inside knowledge than BC, and that's what they were hearing. Well, here we are a few months later, and I'm hearing even more of that talk. Now it's just more... It's more cemented. What may have been maybe 80% that's what's going to happen. Now it's 99.99%. Roman's walking out of Philadelphia. He's going to take Hulk Hogan's record summer of next year, around SummerSlam. And then the talk is number 1, Bruno, number 2, Roman. Can Roman catch up to Bruno? That's what WWE wants to do. Problem with that is Bruno's record is so monstrous. I mean, does Roman really have a chance? 2,800 days, you're talking over 8 years. Now, even after next year, okay, you're looking at 4. He'd be halfway there. It's kind of like swimming into the middle of the pool, right? And you're tired. You look back. Are you going to go backwards, or are you just going to keep going where you're halfway? You might as well just keep going, right? Is WWE really going to keep going once they're halfway, which would be next year? It opens up so many questions. Don't want to confuse anybody more than we already did, because this is confusing, man. They literally removed somebody from the top 5 list. And I understand because of Harley Race and Antonio Inoki, the controversy with Backlund, in fact, Backlund losing the title and then having to get it back. I understand. But you swept it underneath the rug, and then you touted it for decades later. And now, all of a sudden, when you have pretty much made the decision that Roman's going to walk out of 40 still champion, he's going to take Hogan's record, you're going to have Bruno and Roman, that's going to be the 1-2 punch. They hope it's going to be on SportsCenter, on ESPN. They hope it's going to be a big story across the sporting world, or just entertainment at large, right? This monumental record that nobody ever thought even had a chance to be beat. This guy, Roman Reigns, is on his way to do such. This is the story that WWE loves to tell. Even if the fans are like, please, man, not 8 years of Roman as champion part-time. But the company doesn't look at it like that. Vincent Kennedy, Paul Levesque McMahon, it doesn't matter. They both view it the same way. Trust me when I say this. They both have the same mindset. Paul Levesque McMahon loves Roman even more than Vincent Kennedy, and I didn't think that was possible. So Bob Backlund's 2001 35-day reign at number 2, longest title reign ever, looks to be removed. And there's a lot of controversy, so it's going to be interesting to see how WWE reacts. Do they hold steadfast? This is a very stubborn company. Or do they change it up and go, oh, all right, we thought about it, we're going to put Bob back. And does Bob get reintroduced to the list? I don't know how you guys feel about it, man. He technically did lose the championship a couple of times, controversy surrounding. So should he be removed? Right? Just because they swept it underneath the rug and touted it doesn't mean he should be there. Maybe. Or do you guys feel like, listen, you said he was number 2 all this time. You made your bed. Now you got to lie in it. He's number 2. It's interesting. Everybody might have a different say on this. Sound off down below for sure how you guys would do this. I mean, if you took over WWE and it was your responsibility to make this 5 list and you're making it reputable, does Backlund deserve that number 2 spot? And is WWE doing this just to make it easier for Roman? I think that's obvious, right? That's pretty obvious. Because now Hulk Hogan is bumped to 2. That means this summer, Roman, and I told you guys, they want Roman to beat Hogan's record. That's just 100%. Now, I can't confirm that Roman doesn't lose at Mania. Of course, anything can change. We know this. But the internal talk is Roman getting that 3 spot. Well, now they just made it easier. Now they made it a number 2. That is going to be, could you imagine when they tout that next summer that he just became the 2nd longest title reign holder? And we all know the number 1 guy for Triple H, Paul Levesque McMahon, is Bruno Sammartino. And he loves Roman Reigns. I just see Paul Levesque McMahon trying to do this Sammartino Roman Reigns 1-2 punch. Can Roman get the record? So you could be looking at Roman part-time for the next 8 years, man. And by the way, and I have this in my notes too, just a little caveat, a little asterisk. Inoki still, even when Inoki got that title or gave that title back over to Backlund, I should say Backlund still would have been champion 1470 days at that point. So that's still longer than Reigns, guys. So even when that whole schmazzery with Inoki happened, he still was champion at that point, 1,470. So that's still right under Hulk Hogan. So Hogan would be 2, but Backlund should have that 3 spot. Bruno bumped down to 4 with 1237, and then Roman would still be 5. I hope that makes sense. So even with the Inoki controversy, Backlund still would have been top 5 and still above Roman. Now, the Harley Race thing, I don't have a timetable on when that controversy happened. And there was even more instances, guys. It wasn't just Harley Race and Inoki, by the way. But there's not enough hours in the day to crack the research to the 1960s, 70s to really to really give you guys the best timetable imaginable. There's too many things to do during the day, but there was many instances where you could have a little bit of an asterisk. So I don't know if a lot of those was before the 1,000-day mark, for instance, or even Roman's record of 1164. So that's what I got for you guys, man. Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan now number 2, Bruno number 3, so the number 1 and 3 spots, and then Roman number 4. Bruno's number 3 spot will be taken over by Roman around Royal Rumble. That's when Roman will eclipse 1237, roughly around that time. And then SummerSlam-ish is when he will take the number 2 spot. And that will be from Hulk Hogan. So maybe slightly after SummerSlam. And then it's Bruno Sammartino, which at that point would still be about 4 years away. That's what I got for you guys, man. As far as a little bit of an upload we put up last night, it was the second upload in the day. And it was a huge breaking news story. NXT is going to the CW network. A lot of people are praising this decision. They're going to get some extra money. Not what they wanted, right? And then we're seeing that with SmackDown. They fell short nearly $40 million a year. And then here, I'm guessing they wanted about $40 to $50 million a year. And they only ended up around 30 some odd. But it's still an uptick. So they're going to get some money. But again, they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And this shows you that Raw should see an uptick, right? It's going to get more revenue with the next deal. But Monday Night Raw, more than likely, is going to fall short of what Nick Khan wanted financially. But the CW, while everyone's touting this, man, the CW is not a very known station. It's known to about 100% of households. It's broadcast television. These are the positives. The negatives are the CW is just not a good channel. It does not tout very successful ratings. Very inconsistent. And in a recent poll, and when I say recent, there's been many of these polls. Most consumers, most of the people that were polled, the individuals, couldn't even tell you what channel their CW was on. This is a big problem, whereas the USA Network is very well established. It's in hotels, bars, and other establishments. It's basically the closest thing to broadcast television in terms of cable. So USA Network has much more brand identity and much more face-up value than the CW. So this is going to be interesting. While everybody else is saying, oh man, they're going to pop a milli plus every single week, not so fast. They thought Fox was going to pull over 3 million. It's SmackDown, and it's on Fox, of all stations. Pretty well established, I would say. And they barely hit 2 million up front. And even recently, their new normal is 2122. That's their average. They fell short nearly 1 million viewers, and that's why Fox said you're getting Das Boot. Interesting. But in terms, that's the story we broke yesterday. But in terms of the update that I have for you guys, NWA, and this is something we didn't talk about yesterday. The NWA, owned by Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins lead man. For anybody remembering back to the 90s, if you know who the Smashing Pumpkins are, a little bit of our childhood for many of us. Well, he's the runner of NWA, and their show Power was about to get a big deal with CW. Their Power show was going to leave the YouTube machine and head over to the CW. And on top of that, they were also going to get a second show, like a reality series, kind of like The Wrestlers on Netflix. Behind the scenes, they were going to cover Billy Corgan's wedding. And what we're hearing is Billy Corgan actually footed the bill for the entire series in hopes to sell it over to CW and they can make all the money on their ad revenue. Awesome. And everything works out. Billy Corgan has his company now on a channel. Doesn't matter if it's a CW or if it's Fox. He just has it available for something that's larger than just the tube machine. So this was almost a done deal. Some I's to be dotted, some T's to be crossed. And here we go. We're off to the races. NWA is going to be a player. But not so fast. Then they did a pay-per-view roughly a month ago where the commentators were speaking, and then we cut to this table in the crowd. These wrestlers, these ladies, maybe a manager was up there, and they're all doing some extracurricular activity. I don't know any other way to say it that the tube would allow me to say. There was Coca-Cola around, just without the cola. I guess that's maybe the best way to put it. Yeah, they were actually doing that on camera for the pay-per-view. It was a pay-per-view, not a television show, not something that was just for the two. It was on pay-per-view. But, I mean, that's one of the riskier things you could possibly do that's going to turn a network off, especially if you have a TV deal that's, like, in the process of being finalized. You might not want to have a lot of Coca-Cola around, if you know what I mean. And sure enough, this got back to CW, and those I's were never dotted. Those T's were never crossed. Not saying they won't be. I mean, 10 minutes after this upload goes out to you guys, we could hear that NWA is still going to CW. That's the update. We have not had any finalization as of the recording of this that NWA is not going to CW. You'd have to think, though, that WWE would not finalize this deal if another promotion is going to be on their network. So I think from WWE's standpoint, they could shut out NWA. But we have not heard, as of the recording of this, that the CW totally shut the door at that point. The latest word we got is they were so upset they were going to still bring in NWA at a much cheaper cost to them and put them on their app. Whatever the CW app is on. Now, I know they're a part of Paramount Global, so I don't know if that would be part of the Paramount app. Or maybe Red Star, their parent of 75% company, maybe they have a different streaming. But there was an app that they were going to be placed on. That's a huge punishment. But to be totally removed from the conversation and totally have the deal axed because of that Coca-Cola segment, that's massive. And from what we're hearing is that nothing has been finalized to shut out NWA, but it doesn't look good because I don't think WWE would do business like this with NXT and have NWA be their brother or sister on the channel. I just don't think World Wrestling Entertainment operates like that. So that's going to be the big thing for NWA. It's not trying to say sorry and comb over the feelings of CW. It's going to be the biggest challenge of WWE wanting to work with you. And I just don't think they want NWA on that channel. And at this point, the WWE deal is much more monstrous than NWA. When one door shuts, another hopefully opens, in this case for NWA. Hopefully it is a much better opportunity that opens up for them, right? It's not the end of the world. You learn your lessons, right? And that's what we all got to do at times. You just learn and you get better. You be better. If you have a big monumental opportunity that's about to be in your lap, maybe you don't want to squander it. Controversy can be great in wrestling. A segment like that, I don't know where that would ever be needed, but Billy Corgan felt it was needed for that pay-per-view or really wanted to do it. That's the eye of the beholder. It's his company to do such. And as long as everybody agrees, no harm, no foul. The problem is you had a big deal that was about to be finalized. Timing is everything, and that was horrible timing. We'll see how this all shakes up. I'm really interested to see Billy Corgan's comments on how far the deal really got before they were pushed out. Or do we hear that CW is bringing in NWA maybe on their app? We'll see. A lot that BC will be looking out for, man. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC saying check you. Peace.